because it's being driven into the sink. Next up, we've got Mr. Steve Tucker. He's a health industry expert. We had Dr. Friedman earlier. Steve is going to give us a different perspective, with a very different style, on the effects of Obamacare.
Oh, Paul, that saved me 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, you guys with the signs over there, you hopium addicts, listen up. This healthcare legislation was based largely upon bold-faced lies. Now, that anybody can say Barack Obama is a liar, but usually when you call somebody a liar, you should back it up with facts. So remember all the horror stories about pre-existing conditions? Anybody remember that? Matter of fact, the entire health care bill was sold upon the fact that insurance companies can deny you coverage if you have a pre-existing condition. In fact, Barack Obama, during the last State of the Union speech, said that there was a man from Downers Grove, Illinois. Raise your hand if you remember this story as I tell it. And the man had coverage from a company called Assurant Health in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They're still around. And he unfortunately did not disclose a condition that was in his medical history. And then he bought his policy and didn't put it on the application. So according to existing federal insurance laws, that's called insurance fraud. And so what Assurant Health did is they sent him a letter and they said that we're going to rescind your coverage because you didn't tell us about the condition you had prior to policy purchase. So what happened? According to our president, this is a direct quote, please Google it, please YouTube it. He said the man's coverage was canceled, his treatment was delayed, and he died because of it. Does anybody remember him say that? Okay, let me tell you the truth. The man's name was Otto Raditz. The only truth about a Barack Obama statement is that he died, because he did die of cancer. But as soon as he got that letter from Assurant Health, he used the powers that be here in Illinois, the State Department of Insurance, and the Attorney General's office, and he went to them and asked them if they would beseech Assurant Health Insurance Company and asked them if they would protect him under the policy, even though they didn't have to. They had no legal obligation to do so. You know what happened? Mr. Raditz's policy was never canceled. He never had 1 day of treatment delayed, and they paid his claims for 4 more years until he died. You guys with the signs over there, Google it. So if that's the case, if Barack Obama can lie one time, is it possible that he lies more than that?
All the time.
I will tell you that Barack Obama has turned lying into an art form. And let me tell you how. Pre-existing conditions. You know, you hear this story about insurance companies denying people because of pre-existing conditions. But really, did the insurance companies write the law called HIPAA 14 years ago? No. Government wrote HIPAA law. And under government, there is a section called portability. And that says that if you have a group health insurance policy, and you leave that group health insurance policy, and you've had 18 months of prior coverage, and you have no lapse of more than 63 days, nobody at your new employer ever asked you, have you had a bad medical history? Are you overweight? Do you take medications? Has anybody ever been asked by a new job what their medical history is?
No.
No, because as long as you have your certificate of credible coverage showing you've had 18 months of prior coverage with no lapse of more than 63 days, HIPAA portability law protects you against pre-existing conditions. That's 90% of the American insured. But 10% of the American insured have no protection against pre-existing conditions. And the question is, whose fault is it? Do you remember when Reagan said, government is not the solution, government is the problem? Government wrote that legislation, and government left out protection for pre-existing conditions for 14 million self-employed entrepreneurs in this country. If you get a medical condition in the first year of policy ownership, you can't get another policy because they will decline you for pre-existing conditions, but it's not the insurance company's fault, it's the idiots who wrote HIPAA law. Because they're the ones that left out protection for 14 million Americans in this country. We don't need a 2,700-page health care bill. We need one sentence, and that sentence says all individual policies are now protected against pre-existing conditions under existing portability laws. Done. We don't need 2,700 health care page bill. And we cannot afford it. How do we know we can't afford it? How do we know it won't work? It is fiscally unsustainable. Isn't it funny how the Democrats hung on every word the CBO said about the cost of the health care bill? But then as soon as it's shoved down our throats, the CBO is screaming from the rooftops, hey, you didn't tell us about the $70 billion in appropriations to hire 16,500 new IRS agents, open 159 new federal agencies. You didn't tell us about that $70 billion. Well, what about the doc fix? You guys didn't figure in the $208 billion it's going to be for Medicare reimbursement, or to cut the reimbursement to doctors by 21%. You guys didn't put that in the bill. Wait a minute, if that's the case, then our path forward is fiscally unsustainable. Find me one Democrat who's quoting the CBO now. They're not doing it because the CBO now has a chance to tell the truth about the cost of this health care bill. And it's not like we haven't gone down this path before. Anybody ever heard of Obamacare? When Obamacare was implemented, it was to cost $88 million. Okay? Anyone know what it costs today, my friend?
Yes, it's $1.3 billion.
$4.3 billion. Let me tell you something else. Massachusetts has more doctors than any other state in our country, more physicians per capita. Do you know what the wait is to see a doctor, the average wait in Massachusetts?
42 days.
47 days. Imagine a rash in 47 days. Okay? That is the crap we're spreading across the entire country. It is fiscally unsustainable. It's already causing rationing. And Mitt Romney, if he ever wants to get close to the White House, he needs to shut up about Romneycare because it's fiscally unsustainable. It doesn't work. He says we kept ourselves under our 8.1% budget for the state of Massachusetts. Yes, you did, because all of us are paying for it. And it's the same thing that's going to happen under Obamacare. And I'll give you a local example. We like to call it Blogocare. Okay? In Blogocare, there is a program called All Kids Covered. And All Kids Covered is funded by my tax dollars and your tax dollars. And it doesn't discriminate against income, which is a good thing. But guess how many illegal aliens are covered under All Kids Covered? 75%. 75% are illegal. And you wonder why Obama doesn't want to enforce our borders? Janet Napolitano had evidence that Al-Qaeda terrorists and Hezbollah terrorists were implementing themselves into the Mexican communities, learning their languages, and then coming across our borders, and they put politics in front of national security? That is unacceptable. And if you don't believe Senator Kyle, I do. When Obama said, I can't enforce the borders because you guys won't support comprehensive immigration reform. What kind of a president puts politics ahead of national security? That's exactly right, sir. And you know why they're coming here? Because when you rob from Peter to pay Paul, you will always get Paul's vote. Always. So if you provide free health care, free food stamps, subsidized housing, free educations, guess where they're going to come? They're going to come to Illinois. When you fill out the all-kit, oh, I haven't even done yet. I didn't get to family care yet. Blago extended it to family care. And oh, the best, moms and babies. Moms and babies says if you're pregnant, we'll pay for your entire maternity. We don't care if it's C-section, vaginal, the baby's born, we'll cover that. If daddy can provide a utility bill that shows that he lives there, he gets free health insurance too under family care. That's all happening right now. And you wonder why we have an $11 billion deficit in the state of Illinois? That's why. Illinois is becoming little California. And in fact, we're already there. So these are the facts, folks. What I need you to do, because we don't have a big enough crowd here, every time I speak with the Walsh campaign, I hope Joe Walsh is following me. Please vote for that great patriot. I speak with him on the healthcare panels. Joe Walsh is the only candidate to defeat Melissa Bean. And Melissa Bean, look at those Walsh supporters, God bless you. And you too. Everybody in the 8th District should be supporting Joe Walsh. Let me tell you why. These Dumbocrats, they have a letter that they send out to everybody about why they supported